Welcome back to Second and Short. It is Friday, April 11th, 2025. The NFL draft is less than 2 weeks away. Very excited for that. The MLB, unbelievably entertaining this week, and really just to this point this season, it's been unreal. We got some chaos, to say the least, in the Champions League quarterfinals. And oddly enough, last week in the Premier League, the whole top four didn't do better than a draw, which is crazy. And that certainly shakes up the race for the European competition spots this week with some of the matchups that we've got. Luke, how you doing today? Today, for us, is the first day of the Masters, so I'm enjoying myself. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I wish the Yankees could be competitive against competitive teams. I want to shout out your mock draft 2.0 early in this episode. Everybody go check it out, please. It was great. He did a great job. A lot of hot takes, but it was a great mock draft. And
what I'm here for.
I feel like in the springtime, I love doing the allergy checkup. So my allergies this week have actually been like surprisingly good. There's been a lot less pollen on my truck. And are you feeling the same thing? Because I know you also have issues as well.
Outstanding weather today. As ideal as it gets. As ideal as it gets. Also, like, they've been talking about it all day on the Masters as well, but, like, so perfect for an early spring day. Got up this morning, it was like 45 out. Went for a run, it was like 47, 50. Get back from the run, felt amazing out on the run. Get back, go to the grocery store, it's like 60. Just outstanding. Didn't get over like 75, but it was partly cloudy, so, like, it wasn't too hot. Outstanding weather, and the pollen like didn't really get to me all that much today, which was great.
No,
I think that rain helped clear some things out, and like we're kind of getting through that because like typically the tree pollen, this is getting real nerdy about it, but like typically tree pollen ends up lasting for like a week or two, and then we're pretty much like through it. Like everything tree wise blooms around the same time, and then we get through it. And I think this rain coming when it did just cleaned everything out perfectly.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. We might get a little bit of rain today and tomorrow, apparently, but not much. Yeah, Mock Draft 2.0. Want to bring that up once again. Mock Draft 2.0 out on YouTube right now. Came out on Wednesday. When you're done with this, go back and watch that. You can go watch it in clip form on TikTok. Also, our graphic on TikTok and Instagram that came out today. Yeah, very excited about Mock Draft 2.0. I wanted to try some things out. I wanted to do some trades. I think my trades might have been my best takes. Like the most difficult to predict, but I think they were good takes with the trades and like who traded with who. Because like I wanted to trade off the Jags pick, but I could not choose who I wanted it to go to. And I've even thought about trading off the Patriots pick. There's so many picks up there in the top, but I can't choose where I want them. And I also have a very skewed view on some of the position rankings. I refuse to conform with what anybody says. And I just continue to say that Armin Membu is going to be the first offensive tackle off the board, only because I saw, like, I was dead set on doing it, but I was like, I have to see somebody else put him here before I do. And throughout like 16 different mock drafts that I looked through before I put mine out, I got two. Two of them had Armin Membu as the first offensive tackle off the board. One of them, the same exact pick as mine. And I was like, all right, we can do this. On top of that, the mock draft is there, but 2 weeks from now, Draft Night Special, the third annual Draft Night Special, live on YouTube. If you're on the podcast platforms, go over to the YouTube, subscribe. If you're on here right now and you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And, of course, turn on post notifications so you know whenever anything's coming out here on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Stay up to date with things. I'm going to be posting some promos on the Instagram, maybe the TikTok as well. I don't really know. But going to be posting some Draft Night Special promos on the Instagram so you can know what time, what date, and everything, just in case you forget. So follow us there. And I'm very much looking forward to the Draft Night Special. It's like every day I'm finding a new thing that I want to include and like working on thumbnails. I really liked the thumbnail that I made for the mock draft. I think it was a bit of a departure from what we have done. Well, so you're laughing about the thumbnail that I have made already for the Draft Night Special, but like trying to change up styles. I think I really went for something different from our normal style of thumbnail with the new mock draft thumbnail. So just trying to clean things up, change the vibes a little bit, because I really do care about the draft night special. It's kind of my baby. It's what like this whole part of the year leads up to, is the draft night special. And I'm very excited with the wind that's in our sails right now. I'll say that.
Yeah. Hey, I don't want you to forget, I'm planning on doing a mock draft 2.0.
That's true.
For the draft night special as well. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, they were so fun to make. Grayson's did very well. Mine did also very well. So just really excited. I mean, this is fun content.
Yeah, and I've got an updated format for the graphic as well that I was working on. So
yes,
that's another thing to look at. All right, today we've got an MLB recap to start things off. Then we're going to do our NFC North grades, our penultimate division grades. Only one more, and then it's draft night special, and then kind of get into the depths of the offseason, unfortunately. After that, Premier League weekend, Champions League quarterfinals, which is going to be a blast to talk about. And then we'll round things out with questions time. We're back to regular questions. Nathan recognized this mistake, and by recognize, I mean I reprimanded him on Monday after the podcast. But we're back to regular questions, which is nice. And we're going to talk about the Masters as well as part of questions time. We're not going to give it a whole segment, but I'll get off my takes and such. All right. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with the MLB recap. We are back with the MLB recap, and Luke's going to lead things off. What happened this week, Luke?
Yeah, well, the first thing I want to talk about is my concern with my own team, the New York Yankees. So we've already seen it twice this year with the series against the Diamondbacks, and then this week the series against the Tigers. It's just I just feel like it's typical Yankee fashion just to like whoop up and like pound runs down just these awful teams. Like I don't think you could say that the Brewers are awful necessarily, but like definitely not like a playoff. Well, they might be a playoff contender, but they're on the cusp right there, right?
We'll see. It's
just so frustrating to watch us play against teams like the Diamondbacks and the Tigers, because we just don't look like our expectations. You know what I mean? And like, thank God yesterday, we're recording this on Thursday, obviously. Yesterday, Wednesday, the Yankees played the Tigers, and Fried had like an 11 strikeout day. He was dealing against the Tigers. But, I mean, that was just a 4-3 win. You know, the other games, like on Tuesday, the Yankees got shut out. The Yankee offense was shut out. Yeah. And I'm not actually too sure who pitched for the Tigers that day, but I don't think it was Skubal. Yeah. Okay. So, you know, it's just
scoreless. Like, he was killing. He was unbelievable.
It's just these AL matchups that you could very well see in the playoffs are what concern me. You know, when I watch Yankee games, and it's just it makes me so mad.
Yeah, I've got I've got the numbers on the starting pitchers from the Tigers in this series. So it was Mize, Skubal, Flaherty, and also that Monday game was weird because they pushed the game forward to avoid these super low wind chill temperatures. It was still snowing during the game.
Yeah.
But Casey Mize pitched that first game, then it was Skubal, then Flaherty. The three of them combined for 17.1 innings pitched, only one earned run, 21 strikeouts, and a .98 whip. And what's crazy is that the Yankees entered this week with the second most runs scored in the MLB. And they held them to 5 runs in this series as a team. That's unreal.
6 runs.
Sorry, 6 runs.
But yeah.
My bad.
It's it just sucks to see. But moving on from the Yankees, I'm actually going to jump to our rivals, the Red Sox. How about Aroldis Chapman at 37 years old? Just still hitting 102.
Yeah.
Unreal. Absolutely insane. Yeah, he had a pretty good outing against the Blue Jays. So I wanted to shout him out. Another pitcher that I want to shout out, Tyler Alexander. Did you see the play that he made earlier this week?
At home? Yeah.
Yeah. Insane catch behind, like caught it. Hang on, I'm gonna have to act this one out.
Here we go.
Viewers. So he like
get down a little bit lower. You're out of frame. Yep. There we go.
Right here. Okay, so he like catches here, and then like he flicks it up and just grabs it with his pitching hand, like he's some sort of badass, which he was in that moment. But like, what a play! That was smooth, really, really smooth. And then the last thing that I had is just the White Sox just have the most brutal luck. Like watching Mike Tauchman get hurt on his way to home plate was just like I've never even seen a player not make it to a base because he got hurt. Like I don't think I've ever.
That was
seen
awful.
That
I've seen it before, but not in that scenario. I have the notes here. So tie game in the top of the ninth. They could have had a tied game in the top of the ninth on Wednesday. Miguel Vargas hits the ball through the gap between short and third into right field with bases loaded. And the game ends with Mike Tauchman seemingly pulling something in his leg as he rounded third and just limping home where he got easily tagged out by the catcher. I mean, that's so unfortunate because he easily scores if he's running full speed.
Yeah.
But like that's so White Sox, and they're so back. By the way, 8 straight losses now. They lost today as well. 8 straight losses. Yeah. So unless the Braves lose again tonight to the Phillies, which might happen, the White Sox are the worst team in the MLB by record, 2-10.
And I'm not gonna lie, and I was a former athlete. I'm not anymore. So I want to preface with that. I almost felt like Mike Tauchman still should have made it. I feel like. When he was rounding second base and going to third, he looked fine. It was something happened when he touched third base. I almost feel like he should have and could have hopped on one leg. But then again, like,
he was
I'm not
trying to move, but he couldn't.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, it just kind of looked like he got hurt and stopped. But like,
I think it caught him off guard.
Hop on one leg? Yeah, maybe.
I think the problem with that is you don't want to push it. I mean, there's 150 more of these to go.
Very true. Yeah.
So you don't really want to push it this week.
Again, just for the viewers, I want to preface, I am not an athlete, so I just, I sit on the couch and watch these games or sit in bed and scroll through it on my phone. But like, I don't know. I felt like he still could have made it, but that was just my opinion.
Yeah.
So
what else you got?
So the last thing, I wanted you to react to this, Grayson. We have a ranking that was by the MLB actually today as we're recording this. And I just wanted to kind of get your reaction on some of these guys and see maybe if there was anybody left out. Just what do you think?
Okay, before you get into the list, I'm just gonna say it again for the viewers because your audio was kind of cutting out here and there. It's a pitcher power ranking by MLB.com that they put out this week. That was what was cutting up. But proceed.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start at 10 and go to 1.
Okay.
So at number 10, I love to see this. Spencer Schwellenbach.
He's been killing.
He's number 10 on this
list. Once
he
makes his next start, I think he would jump up the list. Just a couple of guys made early in the week starts that pushed them up this list, I think.
Yeah. Number 9, the MLB has Shota Imanaga.
He's been off to a good start as well.
He has. Number 8, Cole Reagans.
Love that.
Yeah.
He's been pretty good, but he hasn't been great, I would say.
Okay. Number 7, we have Zach Wheeler, the Phillies.
Yeah. I mean, he's always going to be up there.
Yeah. This kind of making me eat my words here. Number 6, they have Framber Valdez, who's actually going to be a free agent after this season. So something to watch out for.
He's trying to prove something. I can tell. The way he's pitching right now, he's trying to get a bag this offseason.
Yep. Number 5, we have one of my favorites, Logan Webb from the Giants. Really like him.
Love it.
Yeah. All right. Number 4, Tarik Skubal.
Duh.
I mean, duh. Exactly. Number 3 is Paul Skeens.
I don't know how I feel about that one after this most recent start, but I don't know if they factored that one in. I don't know if it made the cut.
Very good point. Number 2, very surprising to me, but Logan Gilbert.
He's been
number 2
fire. And the thing about Logan Gilbert is like he came into this season with a lot of expectations because in that Mariners rotation, if you're the ace and you're the guy with the highest Cy Young odds, that means something. I mean, that is some high praise to be ahead of Luis Castillo and George Kirby and Bryce Miller and Brian Wu. And Logan Gilbert is definitely playing up to that.
It just has me wondering which one they're going to deal off in like near trade deadline to get some offense.
We'll see. They pulled something off the other night that maybe says otherwise.
Very true. Number 1, this one for me is obvious. This guy, has been unbelievable to
Yeah.
start the season, but it's Hunter Greene from the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah. Just a little shout out to myself for taking him as my NL Cy Young pick. Just so everybody knows, I'm gonna tip my cap for myself here on Hunter Greene. It all added up.
So
that was the thing. Before the season started, it just added up that like he was gonna take the step. Because he took a step last year. He got a little bit of love. I think he was like 8th in Cy Young voting. But like now it's different. And it looks sustainable. That's the conversation me and you have had about him. Is like, how long can he do this year? And it looks sustainable right now. And this most recent start is a good reason why. I think the Reds are handling him very well. Like their pitching coaches are handling him very well. And I'll go ahead and tell you, this list is great, in my opinion.
Okay.
I don't think they missed much. I think maybe Max Fried has a case. He's been stellar in his couple of starts. I think Gausman has looked really good, but I don't think his most recent start fell under. I can't remember what day exactly this list came out, but I don't think Gausman's most recent start factored into that one. So it's hard to make these when it's like, okay, well, some of these guys are going off of 2 starts. Some of these guys are going off of 3 starts. It's hard to make a true power ranking out of it. But with guys that I've gotten my eyes on, all 10 of those are guys that have caught my attention so far. That's for sure. But Skeens, I think, is a little high.
I do want to bring up,
regardless of his starts. I think he's a little high.
That's fair. A player that we should watch out for that could make one of these lists in the future, Spencer Strider, got 13 strikeouts in his rehab start, which very, very good. The Braves definitely need him back. So how do you feel about that?
I'm very excited to see him back, considering Reynaldo Lopez going on the IL for 12 weeks. So, yeah, I mean, the bad news just keeps rolling in. We have a tough loss last night with Raisel Iglesias giving up the home run to Trey Turner for them to take the lead in the top of the 9th. And then we start making something happen in the bottom of the 9th, and it comes down to Sean Murphy, who's been so good since he came back, and he gets out, which sucks. But we need Strider. That plain and simple, we do. I mean, AJ Smith-Shawver looks awful right now. I would love for him not to be in the rotation. Grant Holmes looks great. Give him all the love in the world for how he's playing. But we need more than just Sale and Schwellenbach right now. Sale, Strider, Schwellenbach sounds a lot better right now with the current state of this team.
Yeah, shout out Schwellenbach for helping Sale hold down the fort in Atlanta, because his contribution has been really, really good. But that's all my MLB recap notes. So
yeah, well let's talk about Logan Webb and Hunter Greene that we already mentioned. They went off against each other on Monday. Both of them outstanding. Logan Webb, 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs, no walks, 10 strikeouts. Leaves the game. It's 0-0.
Oh no.
Yeah, these two guys are kings of never getting any run support. These are the DeGroms of current day. If you look at like how their starts go over the last couple of years. Hunter Greene, 8.2 innings pitched, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. You're probably wondering, why did he not finish off his own complete game shutout? Because they ended up winning this game 2-0. Well, first of all, he pitched 8 innings with 0 run support. This was 0-0 until the top of the 8th when the Reds scored 2 runs. Comes out for the 9th inning and gets the first 2 outs, but then gives up a single followed by a walk. And he was at 104 pitches. That's where you pull a guy out. That's the right spot to just pull him out. And then they bring in I don't know who they brought in to finish the game. He got the first out. Game was over. Great. I don't need Hunter Greene to get the complete game shutout right there. If I'm the Reds coaches, especially 3rd start of the season, I am not worried about that whatsoever. 8.2 with this stat line is more than good enough for me. Also, fun fact for Hunter Greene, he has thrown, I believe, 55 sliders this year. Guess what opponents are batting off of it? What's the batting average on the slider this year?
From Hunter Greene and how good he's been, I think it's like definitely sub Mendoza line. I would go like 0.67, like something really low. No way.
Yeah, nobody's gotten a hit off the slider. It's unreal.
Okay, he can't play anymore. That's unfair.
It's unbelievable. I love Hunter Greene, and
Wow.
I'm so glad that 2 years in a row I'm looking really good on a Cy Young pick.
Might be, yeah.
All right, more stuff to cover here, though. The Angels had an interesting series with the Rays. Today, the Angels went crazy. In the fifth inning, they homered 4 times, had 6 home runs as a team in this game. Joe Adell led off the fifth with a home run, a solo shot. Then Trout hits a home run. Somebody else hit a home run as well, maybe Taylor Ward. I'm pretty sure their 6 home runs came from 3 people in this game. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Joe Adell twice in the fifth inning, which is crazy. He ended this inning with a 3-run home run with 2 outs. So they bat through the order. He comes up. I believe Taylor Ward started the scoring with a home run early in the game. Taylor Ward, I think, hit another home run in the fifth. Mike Trout hit a home run in the fifth that barely left the yard, by the way. I'll get to that in a second. And then he hit his second of the game in the 9th inning to make it 11-1. Huge game for the Angels. Off to their best. I think they matched their best start in franchise history a couple days ago. 7-3 through their first 10 was the best start they've ever had. Now, their opponents, pretty awful that they've played. But then they're still looking pretty good. But when I say barely on this Trout home run, I mean it. It went like 320 at Steinbrenner Field.
No way.
So they're playing in Tampa at Steinbrenner Field. This would not have been a home run in any other ballpark, which is nothing new for Steinbrenner Field this season or just in this series. Because on Wednesday, the Angels and Rays combined for 5 homers. There was one home run that would – sorry, the one home run that would have been a homer in the most ballparks was Taylor Ward, and it would have been a home run in 10 parks.
Wow.
That was the most of any of the home runs. And they had 2 home runs, both by the Rays, that would have only been home runs at Steinbrenner Field. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Wild. But at the same time, Mike Trout had a hit, I think, to center field that would have gone out in 14 ballparks, was a fly out. Hit it like 106.8 off the bat, fly out to center.
Like a perfect fly out in MLB The Show. That's annoying.
Yes. But this whole series has been weird. On Tuesday, Christopher Morel might have had the weirdest day possible. Almost robbed a home run. Instead, he got robbed by none other than Zach Hampel.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The ball was very much about to be caught by Christopher Morel when Zach Hampel's glove reaches out above his and catches the ball. And of course, everybody around, I'm not a fan. I used to think it was cool. But, like, I've seen far too many videos of him just, like, pushing kids.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, all right, you don't need that ball tossed up to you. I mean, that's literally the whole point of tossing those balls into the stands is for kids.
Yeah.
Like, you're not just like an adult, you're a grown-ass man. I think he's like 40 or 50.
Yeah.
Like, find something new. Find a new angle, I guess. I don't know, dude. It's just, I don't know. He bothers me a little bit. So then Christopher Morel, after being robbed by Zach Hampel, then hit a 2-run or 2 RBI double that he absolutely pimped the shit out of. Slammed his bat on the ground, looking at the dugout, looks back, and then has to start running to second base because it hit off the wall. So that was hilarious. He got the double, but then just completed the trifecta of weird shit happening by striking out swinging in the 8th inning in a tie game and immediately slamming his bat down in the left-handed batter's box and then just immediately getting tossed. Like, he slammed his bat so bad that, like, the umpire literally just looks at him, takes off his mask, and is just like...
What a bad day.
Yeah. Weird ass day for Christopher Morel. Another ejection thing that happened. Merrill Kelly for the Diamondbacks was being replaced. He had a tough day. Calls weren't great behind the plate. I think they had a bad call in the infield as well. But Merrill Kelly's getting replaced. He's leaving the field. And just, I think he just kind of chirped at Laz Diaz a little bit, which if you recognize the name Laz Diaz, he's an umpire. If you recognize it, it's certainly not for being calm nor being a good umpire. But as Merrill Kelly's walking off the field, he's kind of chirping Laz a little bit, and Laz, of course, engages in it. And so Merrill Kelly keeps going. So he tosses Merrill Kelly while he's literally leaving the game. Tosses Merrill Kelly. Then Torey Lovullo goes out to argue with Laz, and then he tosses Torey Lovullo as well. It's just give me a break, Laz. He can't go like a month without having a problem. That's a real issue at this point. It just boggles
the umpires
my
on
mind.
the power trips, man.
Kills me.
Ugh.
Just kills me. I forgot to talk about this when we were talking about the Yankees. What's up with Cody Bellinger? I mean, what are you doing missing a game from food poisoning from wings? We found out after he did this, he got food poisoning and missed a game from wings 5 years ago. Didn't eat a single chicken wing since then. Orders room service to the hotel. Eats the wings, gets food poisoning again. What?
Damn.
Have you not learned? he said he was desperate.
Probably got high and forgot.
Probably. You're probably right.
He's the most goofy looking.
Yeah.
I love Cody.
He's great. Jackson Chourio, who we made fun of for how his season started, 5 strikeouts against the Yankees in the opener is hilarious. Turned it around. To say the least. But this week has been unreal. Sunday, he had 2 home runs and 5 RBIs versus the Reds. Now, in this series that they're playing right now against the Rockies, I believe, Tuesday, 2 for 5, 2 RBIs. Wednesday, 2 for 5, home run, 5 RBIs. That's 12 RBIs in 3 games for him. When I checked today's game, he was 0 for 2. So maybe he's lost his luck, but a great week for Jackson Chourio. I alluded to this earlier, but the Mariners, a hell of a comeback against the Astros on Wednesday. Down 5-0 in the 8th inning. Randy Arozarena, grand slam, makes it a 1-run game. They then surrender a run in the top of the 9th, makes it a 2-run game. Bottom of the 9th, Julio Rodriguez, 2 RBI double, ties the game. That gets followed by a walk. That loads the bases. Fielder's choice, they get to play out at home. Makes it 2 outs, bases loaded, tie game. Randy Arozarena comes up again, walk-off walk to win the game for the Mariners against the Astros, where they were literally down 5-0 in the 8th inning. It was a very impressive comeback.
Randy Arozarena, what a season he's having. Like him about a week ago, what was it? He was like stepping out of the box on like 3 pitches in a row and then just smashes a home run.
It's hilarious.
Swag, dude. Love me some Randy.
Yeah. Tough outing for Paul Skeens. I was going to talk about this earlier, but 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, 5 earned runs, and he gets the loss. His 4th career loss. 4 career losses for Paul Skeens. 3 of them against the Cardinals.
Uh-oh.
Very weird. It sounds like somebody's got his number.
I guess so.
Yeah.
7 strikeouts, still pretty good, though.
Yeah, but 6 hits, 5 earned runs, that's a problem.
Not very good.
Because they were hitting for extra bases. That's the biggest issue.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the Pirates just can't do anything as a franchise correctly at the moment. On Monday's episode, we talked about them removing a Roberto Clemente logo that was on the wall in right field at the corner. They replaced it with a hard iced tea ad. Okay. That's bad enough. And the family of Roberto Clemente came out and voiced their displeasure with that. Rightfully so. And then this time, early in the week, one of the news, channels or whatever from the Pittsburgh area posted some photos of just a pile of bricks. These bricks were like engraved bucko bricks, I think is what they're called. Engraved bricks that they did a whole walkway of. Like those commemorative bricks that people buy.
Yeah.
They did some kind of renovation and took them all out. Didn't tell anybody. Just a pile of them at a recycling center in Pittsburgh.
Oh my God.
Like, this is where people like memorialize family members with these kinds of bricks and like pay a lot of money for these things as well. Nope. Bye. You don't get the chance to get it. We're not going to send it to your house. You can't pick it up at the stadium. It's at the recycling center.
Oh man, I don't know. It like being a Steelers fan. I just feel like the Pirates and the Steelers are very two different
Yeah,
franchises with the way that
definitely.
they are. Yeah,
Definitely.
I don't really think the Pirates, the way that they do business, necessarily fits your your Pittsburgh people.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's all about tradition and the team kind of being for the fans. I feel like, and
Mhm.
yeah, they just suck over there. Absolutely suck.
Yeah. Um, Next thing, you were kind of talking some shit on Kevin Gosman before the season started, and I'm here to
Did
check
I?
you on it. Yes, you said that. It just wasn't going to be his year. You didn't have him as a Cy Young pick for the AL East, and I'm gonna remember that. And I'd hope you remember that when I read you these stats.
Okay.
His last start, 8 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 unearned run. Wasn't even an earned run, unearned run. No walks and 10 strikeouts.
Damn.
Hot start for Kevin Gosman. He's so consistent. That's the good thing about Kevin Gosman. And like Logan Webb, he is not afraid to go deep into a game. Even when he is even in a game where like he's not having a great day, he'll get you 7, maybe 8. Which is very impressive, especially in today's game. I mean, that was maybe a little bit normal back in the day, but Gosman pretty consistently gets into like 6, 7, 8 inning starts. Fun fact about Charlie Morton, he hit his 187th batter of his career, passing Tim Wakefield for 7th all-time in hit batsman.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, when you're around that long, like Charlie Morton, it's not surprising that you're hitting.
I wonder
that
where
many
like
batters.
Verlander and Scherzer rank.
We can definitely pull that up. Yeah, it's funny because like it's not. I'm sure there's some great pitchers at the top of this list. If I had to guess, let's see.
Pedro Martinez has to be like number 1 here, like Roger Clemens or someone like that.
It's probably old guys that pitched for like 1,000 years and pitched like every inning of those 1,000 years. Yeah, I was right. Yeah. Gus Weihing is number 1. He has hit 277. I say he has hit. He threw 1,000 more innings than the second place guy, which is crazy.
What?
This guy threw 4,337 innings in his career.
Holy shit!
Pretty high up the career list. But yeah, in 14 seasons, he pitched that many innings. Crazy. But he hit 277 batters. Chick Frazier, another guy from that same time period, 219. Pink Hawley, if you had to guess what era is he from, he hit 210. Walter Johnson, great pitcher all time, also from back in the day, hit 205. Randy Johnson, the most recent of the bunch, and that one makes sense. He was a bit of a wild pitcher. He hit 190. He's tied with Eddie Plank with 190 as well. Both of them lefties, which is odd that they're tied. And then Charlie Morton in 7th. Pretty amazing.
Shout out Charlie Morton.
Yeah, 18 seasons, or in his 18th season. Good old Charlie Morton.
Wow.
This stat line's incredible. Marlins prospect, I think he's in like single A. Imarian Boyd. One of the most incredible stat lines without getting a hit.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yeah. 0 for 1. He reached on a fielder's choice, a walk, and a hit by pitch, and stole 6 bases. I know this is a minor league game, but in an MLB game, the best that it's ever been was 5 without a hit. And of course, it was by Ricky Henderson. Because who else would have a stolen base record if it weren't Ricky Henderson? But that's pretty amazing.
That's wild.
Yeah. So shout out Imarian Boyd. Not too sure how good he is as a hitter, but seems like a elite base stealer. Kind of on the field stuff that's come through MLB wise. Ken Griffey Jr., a credentialed photographer at the Masters this year, which I love. We've seen this stuff before. Randy Johnson also a professional photographer. We've seen Randy Johnson just like. I've seen him in like the end zone at Cardinals games. And I've seen Griffey a few times at like some MLB stuff doing the photography. But this is like my dream. When I retire, I want to be honestly, I wouldn't mind doing it as my career. It's kind of how much I like doing the sports photography stuff. But like, you know how amazing it would be to have media credentials to the Masters?
That's sick.
That would be awesome. And I guess
Yeah.
I have a connection to the PGA. I doubt I'd be getting into the Masters, but I'm sure I could find my way into one. But yeah, like that's like my, when all this is said and done, no matter what, what happens in my career, I would love to just be the old guy taking photos at a sporting event.
Yeah.
I love seeing those guys. Or just even like the old guys that take like nature photos. I think it's awesome. We got the final groups for the 2026 World Baseball Classic. So excited for that. That's going to be pretty much all March. I say all March. It's like 2 weeks, which is kind of crazy that they play this whole thing in 2 weeks, by the way. It starts on the 6th of March next year. Or sorry, the 5th. Championship game, the 17th.
Wow.
It's unreal. But great pools, in my opinion, especially as a United States fan, because we have maybe one of the weakest. We got Pool A, which is going to be played in Puerto Rico. You got Puerto Rico, Cuba, Canada, Panama, and Colombia. Pool B, the United States. That will be played in Houston. You got the United States, Mexico, Italy, Great Britain, and Brazil. Pool C in Japan is going to have Japan, Australia, Korea, Czechia, and Chinese Taipei or Taiwan. And then Pool D, which is unreal to have these two in the same one, being played in Miami, Venezuela, and Dominican Republic. That's unreal. And then you have
Miami,
Netherlands as well. Incredible, because they have all the Curacao guys. Israel and Nicaragua as well in that one. And the Israel team is typically pretty good because they have very loose regulations on who makes that squad. Because you literally just have to know somebody that's Jewish. Yeah. And you can make it on the team. But yeah, that's going to be a whole lot of fun. Championship game and the semifinals in Miami again, which was awesome. Actually, all the playoff games in America, 2 of them in Houston, and then quarterfinals on one side, semifinals, and championship, all at Lone Depot Park. Very excited for the World Baseball Classic to come back around. We already have some content that we're working on kind of around the World Baseball Classic, kind of behind closed doors. So we'll keep that to ourselves for now, considering it is almost a year away. But very excited.
I'd like to see it back in like Japan and Korea soon. I think I'm glad that it's being played close to home.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
think,
we'll have
it'd be cool to have some games over there.
We'll have the Pool C games being played in Tokyo.
Okay.
And then we'll have the Pool A games being played in Puerto Rico. Everything else in America. I think the problem with that is just that the United States is the epicenter of baseball, technically.
Yeah.
And Miami is so perfect.
It really is.
You pretty much have to do either Miami or Los Angeles, I think.
Yeah.
Would be the two that make sense. Houston works as well. But not as much of the Caribbean representation or the Asian representation in Houston. I think that's where they miss out on.
Very
that.
True.
Yeah. Last thing I've got, and this one's not a happy topic to talk about. It's actually a tragedy, truly. So a roof collapsed at a Dominican nightclub. I believe this was over the weekend. And it killed 221 people as of the report that I've seen. Might be higher because I think the injuries were somewhere in the 200s as well. This was a packed nightclub. Roof collapses, tons of injuries. The Dominican Republic, not necessarily a high-income country. I'm sure people know that. So they don't necessarily have the best systems of supporting a tragedy of this sort and this kind of disaster. So it has taken a long time for them to go through the wreckage of this and find all the people that were inside, because this was a packed nightclub. But among the people found, 2 former MLB players, Octavio Dotel and Tony Blanco. Octavio Dotel played a number of years in the league. I think Tony Blanco did as well, but Octavio Dotel has been maybe the bigger name. I hate to be pulling out popularity in a moment like this, but Dotel is certainly a big name. Like, played on a lot of teams. It was Immaculate Grid. I know this is like a small thing. Immaculate Grid did like a tribute to him on one of theirs a couple days ago, where he would have been a correct answer in all 9 boxes, which was cool. But those 2 unfortunately passed away. As well as that, the governor of the Monte Cristi province in the Dominican Republic is Nestle Cruz. She passed away in this, and she is the sister of Nelson Cruz, the MLB legend, potentially a Hall of Famer. It's just devastating, and obviously so many others. I think you mentioned the musician that was playing this nightclub passed away as well.
Not too sure what his name was, but he was performing live on stage when it collapsed, and he was one of the people that had passed as well.
Yeah, on top of that, we got a statement from Pedro Martinez, who said that he had multiple family members that were at this nightclub, and at the time of his statement, all of them were yet to be found in the wreckage. That's the kind of the scariest part, is like they're still looking through this, and it's been days, and like the effects that has on the people inside of there. I mean, if you get them out quickly, you can get them to the hospital and hopefully help them. When you're in the remnants of that for days, obviously you have debris and such that people are breathing in. It's unfortunately a winding clock, and it's not very easy. So obviously prayers go out. Anybody affected. It's just one of those things that is just horrible to see, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add except my personal condolences, and condolences from us here at the podcast. It's absolutely brutal.
Yeah,
I just can't believe it. Really.
Yeah. I think we'll end the MLB recap on that note, and we'll get into our NFC North grades. All right, we're starting off the NFC North grades like we have a couple of times. We didn't do it last week, but we've done it for a couple of these. I went back and watched our preview for this division and just took some notes as I went through it. So this is just kind of the order of how we set it, so it might be a little bit jumbled up with the teams. But this was an interesting division for our takes, because some things hit the nail on the head. The glaring thing we got wrong was both literally immediately, like first thing that Luke said in this preview, Vikings are a lock in last place. First words uttered out of Luke's mouth in this segment. But other thing, when I started talking in this segment on the preview, I said that at night I'd been staring at the bed, or in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about football. Right now I'm doing the exact same thing. Last night, because I had just put out my mock draft video, last night I was literally just like, man, what are the Chargers going to do with the 22nd pick? Like, just laying in bed thinking that. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
But back to the division. Luke started things off, Vikings lock for last place, and we totally dismissed the fuck out of the Vikings in this whole segment, which was crazy. Me not believing in Jamison Williams was a bit of a miss. He had a pretty good season. Definitely had a lot of good games. I had a pretty reasonable take, I would say, on the transition from Aaron Jones to Josh Jacobs for Green Bay, potentially being lateral unless we get an old version of Josh Jacobs. We got the old version of Josh Jacobs. That's for sure. I also, this was a swing and a miss from me. I was talking about the depth of the receivers in Green Bay, and I jokingly said that Samori Toure might catch 5 touchdowns. He didn't play a game. So that was a bit of a miss there. Let's see. I was low on Jair Alexander. Good take by me. He did not have a great season. I was high on Jaden Reed. leading receiver for the Packers, so that worked out as well. Definitely could have eased up on my expectations for Laporta. I think both of us could have. I had him as the only other tight end other than Travis Kelce, also a swing and a miss, that could be an Offensive Player of the Year candidate. So
yeah,
that was a bit of a miss there for me. So what I said about Sam Darnold was he is a competent enough quarterback to throw Justin Jefferson the ball, which is quite the understatement. You maybe had higher expectations than what we ended up getting out of Darnold, which is that you thought he was going to be the franchise quarterback of the Vikings for years to come.
Yeah,
which
and
is kind of crazy.
I mean, they very well could have gone that way.
They could have. They definitely could have. But, for them, it was more, it wasn't about how he played because he played phenomenal, but it's just that J.J. McCarthy's waiting. They wanted to give him a shot, which I don't mind.
Valid.
This was interesting. Kind of a funny full circle thing. I said that the Vikings should be doing what the Seahawks did with Geno, with Sam Darnold, but instead the Vikings just signed Sam Darnold. Or sorry, the Seahawks signed Sam Darnold, which is kind of an odd thing that happened. My only Packer for Defensive Player of the Year was Xavier McKinney. Fantastic take.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. Love Xavier McKinney. The only reason he was ever on my radar in the first place, like before anybody was really talking about him, is because JID dropped him, or name dropped him in a song. And I was like, oh,
why?
Hell yeah. I don't know. He was really good at Alabama, so maybe that's why. But he name dropped him in a song, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start paying attention to Xavier McKinney. I loved him on the Giants. Moves to the Packers. What a move by them, and what a call by me. I'll just say that. This was kind of just a boneheaded thing that happened with the Vikings, because we start off this section, and by the way, you said that they were locked to come in last place. I agreed with you wholeheartedly. But then, as this preview goes on, we just never really gave the Vikings the light of day. But at different times, I said I was high on Aaron Jones this season because he had a new opportunity that he's never had. I was high on Justin Jefferson. I said that the Vikings defense is really good. And I also said that Will Reichard was a great pickup as a kicker in the draft. But I still was like, nah, they're going to suck. I don't know where I got that. We both had, I think, reasonably high expectations for the Bears throughout our previews. But I do think that both of us were pretty cautious. I'll say that. But like you had said, like they might have the best roster on paper, and like going into the season, you're probably right in this division. That like when you go up and down the list, it was unbelievable. I think it was just like they were missing a couple guys on like defense. Really, that was the issue with their roster. But like when you put them up, side by side with the other teams, it's not that far off. So our preview was very interesting for this division. So let's see how things turned out. We'll start off with the Bears, who were in last place.
The Bears got a F from me.
I gave him a D-. I was close to giving him a D as well, but I gave him a D-.
Wow. Yeah. So I guess to kind of start, I feel like the elephant in the room with this team is Caleb Williams. I'm going to kind of try to do him some justice here. So Caleb Williams, by far, most sacked quarterback in the league. 62.5% completion, 3,541 yards, 20 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions.
Yeah, which is not bad.
It's not really bad for a rookie. Kind of to move down the list offensively, though, DeAndre Swift was useless. And another player that I hated watching on this team was Keenan Allen. Couldn't stand his body language. I just what a worthless player he was for them.
I love that you said you hated watching him. That's such a great take about Keenan Allen this season. That's so like on point with him, and same with DeAndre Swift.
Definitely. I think DJ Moore truly did his best. He was a guy that I still like to watch. Cole Kmet flat out just struggled on this offense. He was a shell of what, he used to be.
There's people saying that the Bears are taking a tight end in the first round because of how bad Cole Kmet was last year, which is kind of crazy.
I think you could probably address other needs if you're Chicago.
I agree.
That's just me.
I definitely.
But Grayson, I have a question for you. This is a little bit of some trivia from last year.
Okay.
There was a player on the Bears that had one reception this season, and he was drafted in 2006.
That would be Mercedes Lewis, who we talked about in our preview.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
he finished the year with one reception.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. Another player that I forgot existed, and so did the Chicago Bears, was Gerald Everett. You had Cole Kmet struggling all season, and Gerald Everett maybe like
the preview.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. It's like the Bears totally forgot that he was on the team. But
I think they forgot that anybody except the top four guys, the top three wide receivers and Cole Kmet, nobody else existed. Nobody else caught a touchdown. It was Adunze, Allen, Moore, and Kmet. Nobody else caught a touchdown. It's crazy.
Yeah, I would say Adunze, to go back to him, his rookie year was not bad.
Not bad considering the receiving room he was in. So my thing with Caleb, I think he was not good enough. I talked about it week after week all throughout the season. He was not good enough, but we saw a lot of flashes and not a lot of substance.
Yeah.
Sure, you can throw the flashes together and put together something that could be great. But, like, there's some real problems. And another problem of mine for them is that the teams that they beat this season were really weird. This team beat the Rams early in the year. That's unbelievable. They won a throwaway game against the Packers in the final week of the season. The Packers, I think they played Jordan Love for, like, the first half, and that was it. They won that game by 2 points, by the way. Throwaway game. They beat the Rams early in the season. Their other 3 wins came against the teams that will be picking 1st, 5th, and 8th in the draft this year.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Major problem.
This is a crazy thing to say about the Bears. The biggest accomplishment of the Bears this season was jump-starting the success of the Commanders.
Yeah.
I mean it. I mean, these two teams came up against each other, and the Commanders were off to like a fine start. The Bears were off to a hot start. Close game with a couple of teams that they lost. They came off that Rams win. They had that the couple really close games to start the year. Then that Hail Mary happens, and Jaden Daniels just soars up. On the other side, the Bears, following week, crushed by the Cardinals. Next game, after these 2 consecutive losses, embarrassing loss to the Patriots as well. Awful loss to the Patriots. You follow up those 3 straight losses with 7 more in a row. And you finally win a game in the final week of the season when the Packers aren't trying. They should have lost they should have lost 11 consecutive games to finish the season. They should have. The Packers gave them one in the last week of the season. Crazy. Yeah. Absolutely crazy.
Just a small side note that I want to make. You are going to think that I am Jaden Daniels' mother when we talk about the NFC East.
Me too.
With the way that I'm going to talk about him. But just to run through some of these stats from Chicago, offensively, probably the worst team in the league. 28th in points scored, dead last in total yards per game, 31st in passing yards per game, 25th in rushing yards per game, 18th in time of possession per game, and defensively it doesn't get better. They were 16th in passing yards against per game, which is pretty okay. Yeah. 13th in points against per game. That's all right. But just like 16th in sacks, 19th in picks, like they just weren't turning the ball over. And I mean, I feel like a lot of that has to do with Tyreek Stevenson yelling at the Commanders fans before that ensuing Hail Mary.
Was that Tyreek Stevenson or Jalen Johnson? Which one was that?
I think it was Tyreek Stevenson.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's another player that we could speak on. Jalen Johnson, highly touted cornerback in the league, did not really have that great of a season in Chicago in 2024.
I think I had him as one of my Defensive Player of the Year picks in this division.
I feel like you were valid there, but he just did not deliver whatsoever.
But he wasn't the worst. I mean, Tyreek Stevenson, by far, the worst on this defense, in my opinion, this year. Unbelievably bad. like bottom half of this entire defense in PFF grades, like unbelievably bad. Kevin Byard was a great addition to this team. TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, fantastic linebackers on this team. Jalen Johnson did his thing sometimes it was pretty bad. But the defense as a whole was definitely missing an elite pass rusher. We talk about this with a lot of teams that underplayed the expectations this year. Montez Sweat didn't show up to the expectations that we thought he would have. He had like 5.5 sacks. They just didn't have a standout guy on the defensive line. That was the biggest issue for me on their defense.
Not at all. And the Bears did something that I haven't seen in any of my note-taking for these division reviews. They had 3 guys over 100 tackles.
Wow.
Which is, it was
sneakily a bad thing.
It kind of is. Those players were Kevin Byard, TJ Edwards, and Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah. But you don't want to have to tackle that much because it means you're not doing well in coverage.
Exactly. But you hit the nail on the head with Kevin Byard, though. What a pickup he was for Chicago. But yeah, this team, I'm kind of curious because you talked about a lot of negative things with Chicago, but you didn't give them as low of a grade as I did. So why did you not give them an F?
I think it's similar to like why I graded the Panthers well. There's something there. Like this defense, when you add on, some great pass rush, it probably helps out the secondary because you weren't getting pressure on the quarterback. It helps out the secondary when there's pressure on the quarterback. And on the offense, the offensive line would have made a huge addition. I'm not saying that Caleb would have been Jaden Daniels last year with an offensive line, but what I am saying is Caleb would have been better. Certainly. A lot of those sacks were entirely dependent on the offensive line. So I don't want to just take everything away from them because they were just missing out on a couple things. And also, you fired Eberflus mid-year and just did not have a good interim head coach in the middle of that losing streak. That was also a tough part of it that I wanted to give them a little bit of graciousness with. Was just I didn't like the interim head coach.
Yeah, that I want is I respond to you talking about Caleb Williams being the most sacked quarterback in the league. So I was kind of trying to do him some justice. He only threw 6 picks, yet he was the most sacked quarterback in the league. He's also, a rookie into last year. Mm-hmm. He also, when he would scramble, he looked athletic, but he didn't look like he was using his brain anytime he got out of the pocket. So I would say that probably a lot of those sacks were on him as well.
Some of them, for sure. For sure. When he left the pocket, yes.
Yeah, I think Joe Thuney, major addition to this team, and I'm excited to see what they do next year. But in 2024,
Jonah
they get
Jackson, the other guy they traded for as well?
That's right. Yeah.
That's another good one.
Another good one.
Yeah, I think the Bears certainly turn things around next year, but that's a conversation for August. All right.
For sure.
The third place Packers. I mean, an 11-win third place Packers team. I give them a B+. I think it was a lot of highs and lows this year.
I gave them a C+.
Yeah, and you had high expectations. You had them winning the division.
That's because when we did the previews for 2023, you were really high on them, and I was not high on them, and they had a really good season that year. So I was like, I don't want to fall behind this year.
That's fair. That's fair. I think that the Packers this year were perfect proof of how difficult this division was. I think that's what it came down to.
Yes.
Their losses this season were to the Super Bowl champion Eagles in a very close game where Jordan Love got hurt on the final drive when he was leading a game-winning drive down the field. After that Eagles loss in the opening game of the season, they lost to the Vikings, Lions, Vikings, Bears. That's insane.
There you go.
It's unbelievable. And that made them barely get into the playoffs as a wild card with 11 wins.
Yeah, I want to say this as well. Shout out Malik Willis coming in for relief for Jordan Love. What a job he did.
That win against the Colts, that was great. Week 2.
It was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
I think that's why the B+ comes in. I mean, I can't blame them for having to play 4 times against 2 of the top teams in the league.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part of their schedule to me. I will say with Jordan Love, it did seem like at some point, because like he threw an interception in every single one of like the first 7 games. And then he went on a streak of just not throwing any interceptions. But it felt like he was playing a little bit like reserved in that second half of the season. We weren't seeing big games. He didn't pass. I don't think he had more than 275 in the entire second half of the season. Really, yards-wise, he was not very good this season. I think he only threw for like 3,600. You could correct me if I'm wrong. It was something like that. I know he didn't get into 4,000. The touchdown numbers were fine, but it was just a lot of like 1 touchdown, no picks for the second half of the year. And I'm going to be honest, some of his best performances were those early games where it was like 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. But he played well. And I don't know. It just seemed like it wasn't gunslinging anymore in the second half, and it kind of hurt them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he had just a really weird year. I guess that kind of contributes.
And he also got hurt twice.
Yeah, he did. He passed 63.1 completion percentage. 3,389 passing yards.
Even higher.
25 touchdowns and 11 picks.
Gotcha.
So kind of mad, but I mean, on the running side though, Josh Jacobs, wow, what a season they got out of him. I really think if he had a really good RB2, it may have been that much better.
I think this is just proof that he could do it on his own.
He is a true workhorse in the NFL. I feel like it's kind of becoming the meta to have 2 really good running backs, but Josh Jacobs, to your point, doesn't need it. At all.
I could see the Packers late in the draft picking up a running back. I mean, the backup right now is Emmanuel Wilson, right? He had the second most on the team out of Fort Valley State. Shout out Emmanuel Wilson. But A.J. Dillon was hurt for like most of the year. Now he's gone. I could definitely see them potentially drafting a running back late in the draft. I mean, there's a lot of them to choose from. So,
yeah, I like it. No wide receivers over 1,000 yards. The closest was Jaden Reed with 857. If you're the Packers, you can't keep trying to get away with this. Just go ahead and get one in the first round of the draft.
Got to draft a wide receiver.
Absolutely. But to move to the defense, how about the Georgia Bulldogs? Javon Bullard was 5th in tackles for the Green Bay Packers. No picks, but 5th in tackles.
Credit to you. He's a guy that you talked about in your preview.
I was high on him. Pretty big. Quay Walker, I feel like sneakily just continues to get better.
He's solid.
He just, I don't know. He is solid. He was their tackle leader with 102. Yeah, definitely. And then to your point, Xavier McKinney with 8 interceptions. There's a guy in this division with more.
Yes.
But wow, Xavier McKinney, I just wouldn't have expected an 8-pick year. That's crazy.
He was unreal.
Unbelievable. The defense was 7th in sacks. Rashawn Gary, I think, was their sack leader with, hang on, I'm finding it here, 7.5. But they were 7th in sacks, so, you know, the by committee strategy, I feel like, works for some teams. So they definitely did it here. I think for the Packers, their defense was extremely surprising to me. With kind of a Jair Alexander not playing well in 2024, there were a bunch of guys that stepped up for them.
Yeah. Sorry, what was your grade? I don't remember. I give him a B+.
Oh. C+.
C+. Okay.
Yeah.
It seems like you didn't have a lot of negative things to say. I feel like a C+ is
you're flipping it back
negative.
on me. Yeah, I think for me, a lot of it came with Jordan Love's play.
That's fair.
Kind of like with what you said, he seemed reserved, just not as good. And also, I'm kind of tired of every single wide receiver on this football team because it's just
agreed.
I mean, they do good, and I like Jaden Reed a lot, but they're not what Jordan Love needs.
No. I think if Watson could stay on the field, that'd be great. Romeo Doubs, get him out of town. I'm done.
Yeah.
Sitting out of practice and then them suspending him was enough for me to be like, all right, that's done.
For sure. you need a Matthew McConaughey and extras. You don't just need extras.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's
Yes.
kind of what the Packers are doing. And
I
also,
agree.
I wanted to shout out Tucker Kraft. Wow.
Love Tucker Kraft.
Insane year. Yeah.
I loved it when they
Insane
drafted
year.
him.
Yeah.
I have a Josh Jacobs stat that I didn't bring up. Second in the league in yards after contact.
There you go.
And it was that was a very believable thing to know. Like when I was thinking about Josh Jacobs, I was like, what is a number that could make him really give us a good idea of what he was doing this year? I was like, yards after contact. I'm sure he was great in that. Second, this is insane though. He was second to Derrick Henry. He had 170 yards after contact less than Derrick Henry.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Derrick Henry had over 900 yards after contact.
Dude.
Yeah.
Chill out, bro.
Now, he did have 50 more carries. Or I think a little more than that.
Still.
But still. I mean, that's a whole game's worth of that's an amazing game's worth of rushing yards after contact.
Yes.
More than Josh Jacobs.
Definitely.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. So somehow Derrick Henry still gets a shout out in the NFC North. Okay, on to the second place Vikings. 14 wins for the Vikings this season. I gave them an A.
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
our expectations were so low. I almost gave them an A+. I'll say it. I almost gave them an A+.
Yeah, I gave them a B.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Gave them a
I
B.
would like you to start then.
Okay. Well, again, I don't really think I'm going to have a lot of negative things to say here. Sam Darnold. Need I say more? His name. What a season he had, and honestly, what an offense they had with Sam Darnold at the helm. So, 66.2 completion percentage, 4,319 yards. It's almost 1,000 more than Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And here's kind of the kicker, and here kind of follows my C+ with the Packers. Sam Darnold threw for 13 or 10 more touchdowns. I can't remember how many touchdowns Jordan Love had, but Sam Darnold had 35 passing touchdowns and 12 interceptions, which was just one more than Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Darnold was outstanding.
Yeah. The pickup of Aaron Jones, like you already highlighted, was absolutely amazing. He was kind of a player that I thought would have been on the downturn, but not at all. 1,138 rushing yards from him, and only 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Kind of strange.
That was an odd part of this offense. Was in the red zone, it was more about the passing. I mean, Sam Darnold threw over 30 touchdowns. So, that was definitely the bigger deal. And they settled for field goals a lot. Will Reichard kicked a lot of field goals.
Yes. Yeah.
But they still were winning games. So, you got to give them credit with that.
For sure.
Team overview-wise, sorry, I just wanted to bring this up before we start getting into the weeds on player stats. They lost 4 games this year, 3 in the regular season, 1 in the playoffs, to 2 teams. The Lions and the Rams, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it was back-to-back weeks where the Lions beat them and then the Rams beat them both times. And that's how their season ended. It's so odd to see that happen. But on top of it, if this team would have not lost to the Rams in the first round, or what, or if this team would have beaten the Lions to get the first, imagine they got a first round bye, this Vikings team. All they had to do was beat the Lions, which they got manhandled, by the way. But if they would have beaten the Lions in week 18, they would have gotten a first round bye and played the Commanders, which I'll pump the brakes again. They would have lost. But imagine if this team that we thought was going to be last in this division got the first seed in the NFC. They were a game away from the first seed in the NFC. That's unreal.
Absolutely wild. They had a weird season though, man. Just to kind of run through the list. So you beat Indianapolis by 8 points. You beat Jacksonville 12-7. Scoregami.
Awful game.
Chicago, you beat in Chicago 30-27. The following week, you beat Arizona by 1 point. You beat Seattle by 3 points. You beat Green Bay by 2 points. Those were in back-to-back weeks as well. And then to finish out the season, the games against Detroit and LA, like you already highlighted, were just piss poor. You put up 18 points combined in both of those games, nine points in each. Just absolutely brutal for the Vikings. And I think that's kind of where my beat comes from is, overall they were pretty consistent. But when they were bad, I mean, they were like out of the game.
Yeah.
Kind of bad.
They were clearly not a Super Bowl contender. They were a great team, but they were not a Super Bowl contender because the great teams that they played, the other great teams they played, kicked their ass.
Yes.
and I think that's
100%.
So crazy. It still is insane to me in my mind. They lost 4 games, 2 to the Lions, 2 to the Rams. Mainly because the Rams, like we talked about in the NFC West grades, kind of came out of nowhere and just were amazing for like the whole, I guess like the better half of the entire season. But like they kind of came out of nowhere, but bested the Vikings twice. But the Vikings, despite the close games, they took care of business. And like we talked about, the red zone was definitely a struggle for them. But like, I think what propelled me all the way up to an A for them, first of all, our expectations were as low as possible. Then they won all these games. Then on top of it, the individual performances were outstanding. Talked about Darnold. Jetta's had a great season. Jordan Addison very much took a step forward. Maybe you would have liked to see more. But I think, 800 plus yards and like a handful of touchdowns? Not bad at all for Jordan Addison,
Yeah,
who I think started the
yards,
year
9
hurt.
touchdowns.
I think he started the season hurt.
He only played 15 games,
Okay.
so I'd imagine so.
They also didn't have Hawkinson for the first 6 weeks of the year. I think I could be wrong on that one.
When you're correct, he played 10 games, and I want to interject really fast. When he came back, I didn't think he looked great at all.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't great. Shout out to Jalen Naylor. 3 straight games with a touchdown to start the year. Finished the year with 6 touchdowns. Unreal. Shout out Johnny Munt, 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
But I'm way more interested in this defense. This defense was so good. So good.
Yeah.
And I love the names that were good on this defense. Because it was all guys where I was like, these pickups are so good in the preview, and I still was like, nah, they suck. But like all 3 of these guys, first year in Minnesota, Jonathan Grenard, unbelievable. Andrew Van Ginkel, unbelievable. He was second in sacks.
Yep.
Blake Cashman, unbelievable as well.
Tackle leader.
Yeah, all 3 of those guys, first year in Minnesota, unfucking real. I think Van Ginkel was like top 5 in the league in tackles for loss. I think him and Grenard were up there for tackles for loss as well.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 guys being new to the team and making that kind of impact was unreal, especially because I kept bringing it up that Jonathan Grenard was going to have to be the guy that kind of replaced Danielle Hunter with Danielle Hunter leaving. But Grenard, Van Ginkel, and Cashman all stepping up. And I know Cashman not as much for the sacks, but Grenard and Van Ginkel stepping up with those sacks to join Dallas Turner as well, who didn't necessarily put up the numbers we were looking for, but looked good. More than I ever could have asked for on this defensive line.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Patrick Jones, the second as well, with 7 sacks. He was 3rd on the team. Byron Murphy Jr. had 6 interceptions. Andrew Van Ginkel had 2.
One of them, I think were both pick sixes.
I don't remember.
I feel like they were.
I do not remember.
I know one was.
Yeah, they could have been. Harrison Smith, by the way, kind of a player that went under the radar this year. He's still fantastic. He was 4th on the team in tackles and had he was tied for 2nd with interceptions as well with 3.
You kind of denied me when I said like Harrison Smith is just always going to be good. You kind of pushed back on me on the preview with that.
Yeah,
You said he was already in the washing machine. That is what you said on Harrison Smith.
Well, he's in the dryer now. He's drying off. So
Cam Bynum was great as well. He's now a Colt, but Cam Bynum had a good year.
Yep. And just to again run through some of the stats on this team. So you lost Danielle Hunter. You were 5th in sacks in the NFL. You were 28th in passing yards against per game, but you led the league in interceptions. So that's pretty good. You were 2nd in rushing yards against per game. You were 5th in points against per game. And then offensively, you were 19th in rushing yards per game, but Aaron Jones still had a fantastic year. You were 6th in passing yards per game with Sam Darnold as your quarterback.
Yeah.
You were 12th in yards per game and 9th in points scored per game. So just really good football team.
Unbelievable. All right, we'll wrap it up with the Lions here. I also gave them an A.
A-.
See, I had Super Bowl expectations for the Lions, so like what they did this season was like a step below that. I guess theoretically a step below that would be making the NFC Championship game, which they did not. But
nice.
When you look at that regular season, it is hard to say this was not the best team in the NFL at the end of 18 weeks.
For sure.
Even though
the only reason
I
gave them an A-. Yeah. The only reason I gave them an A- was lost to the Commanders in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It was pitiful. Absolutely pitiful. That's kind of why. But
I definitely agree with that.
Before we ended, first scored per game, 2nd in total yards per game, 2nd in passing yards per game, 6th in rushing yards per game, and 2nd in time of possession per game.
Wow. Unreal.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and what's amazing, that time of possession is crazy when Jared Goff was out here throwing like 40 passes a game.
Yeah.
He was throwing
Very
so
true.
many passes, but Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery for most of the year until he got hurt. Jahmyr Gibbs was so good. And like, we were like, oh, dude, these two are going to be a fantastic duo next season, blah, blah, blah. When Montgomery goes down, Jahmyr Gibbs shows up like nothing ever happened. Like he's never just I don't even know how to talk about it. Jahmyr Gibbs was so unbelievably good by himself for the whole second half of the year. Crazy. Absolutely insane.
Glad you mentioned it. This motherfucker had 20 touchdowns on the season.
Yeah.
He was
tied for the lead.
Fourth on this team in receiving yards. He had eight less receptions than Sam Laporta and 6 less receptions than J-Mo.
Yeah. He was unbelievable.
16 rushing touchdowns, 1 fumble. He lost 1. He lost the fumble that he fumbled. This kid, man, I love me some Jahmyr Gibbs, Grayson. I'm getting pretty fired up. And then his RB2 had 12 touchdowns.
Yeah. That's the crazy part. The two of them rushed for 32 touchdowns.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, so Jahmyr Gibbs, joint leader in rushing touchdowns with, I think, Derrick Henry, and I don't know who else had 20. But Derrick Henry was one of the other ones. But also,
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Sorry. What was
Hang
that?
on. Jahmyr Gibbs had 16 rushing touchdowns. He had 4 receiving touchdowns.
Sorry, so yeah, total touchdowns. What he was, I think he was tied for the lead in rushing touchdowns, but 20 total touchdowns. Also, there was only 2 running backs that had more receiving touchdowns than him this season, and it was Devon Achane and Rashad White, who are literally just receiving running backs.
Exactly. Yeah.
But Jahmyr put up insane rushing stats on top of it. Incredible season for him. And also, Jared Goff had an incredible year as well. I don't want to take that away from him either.
Definitely. Yeah. Threw more picks than we're accustomed to, but overall, yeah, he was still one of the best quarterbacks in the league, for sure.
He's a little bit of a turnover guy, but it's always in bunches. We talked about this in the preview.
Yes.
When he throws a couple, it's bad. I mean, he'll throw 3. He'll fumble 3.
Yeah. I want to get off of the running backs after this stat, but I just noticed this. I don't even have this in my notes, but David Montgomery had 341 receiving yards.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs had 517. They had over 800 receiving yards with their 2 running backs.
Unbelievable. And that's a huge credit to Ben Johnson.
Yes.
The offensive play calling for this team was at times perfect. Like truly perfect. Yeah. There was times like for like not just games but like weeks where it seemed like Ben Johnson just did not miss on a play call.
Yeah, very, very correct there.
So
I want to shout out Jake Bates as well.
Yeah, Jake Bates was a fantastic find for them.
Yes.
Perfect in the 30s, I think. 30s and in. I think he was perfect.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is nice. I mean, he missed like 143 in the 50s, I think. Two. Okay.
In the 50s, yeah.
I didn't take note of that, but I looked at it earlier. I was just trying to see how good my memory was. But also I think 95% field goal or extra points, 95.
He
I think he missed a couple.
He attempted 67 and he made 64.
Okay, so he missed 3. That's not bad.
I don't know what that accounts to. It's actually an 89.7, I believe, unless that's field goal.
That doesn't seem
percentage.
Right.
I can't tell.
I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right either.
Continue on.
But moving on to the other side of the ball, Jack Campbell, total dog. Need I say more? Kirby Joseph, the kneecap hunter himself,
95.5
interceptions. Thank you.
95.5.
Kirby Joseph, the kneecap hunter. This guy, 9 interceptions is just like an absurd number to have.
He was unreal.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, and then Brian Branch was not only second in tackles for the team, he had 4 interceptions. He was second in interceptions as well.
Yeah, this whole defense was interesting because they just constantly kept getting hurt. Different players all over the field getting hurt. Obviously, Hutchinson missing most of the season was just heartbreaking for them. It is kind of weird with them, though, because, like, similar kind of to the Bills, when we talked about the Bills and their season grades, there was just, like, 1 or 2 performances that just stuck with me all year. That Buccaneers performance in week 2 stuck with me all year with the Lions. Not to say that I wasn't unbelievably high on them for the rest of the year, but, like, there was a couple weeks, especially after that one, where I had to just be like, okay, let's relax here a little bit on the Lions. Now, they just kept winning until that Bills game, and that Bills game was just one of the best games you could ever watched.
Oh my God.
But, like, it was weird that one stuck in your mind, and then you get to the postseason, you have the first round bye after manhandling the Vikings in the final season or the final game of the season, and you get, I'm going to say, embarrassed. They totally underestimated what the Commanders had to offer.
100%.
And they truly got embarrassed in that game, in my opinion. That is not a game that this Lions team should have lost.
It was at Ford Field too, and I couldn't even imagine what those Lions fans were feeling in that moment, being like clearly the best team in the NFL and then losing that way. I think, and you might share this same sentiment. I need to get your opinion on this, but they really, really lacked their sack guys after Aiden Hutchinson went down. And I brought this up in my first mock draft, but Aiden Hutchinson played 5 games and had 7.5 sacks. He was on pace to be quite amazing. Your second place guy was Zadarius Smith, who only played 8 games with 4 sacks. Yeah. So your 2 sack guys played a combined games of like 13. And that was your top 2 sack leaders. That is a glaring issue.
That's something I brought up in the preview. In the preview, I talked about how they did not make enough changes to that defensive line. They did not add enough. But I was like, if you have Aiden Hutchinson, he's going to do his thing, and everybody else can figure it out. Well, they didn't have Aiden Hutchinson for most of the year, and they got fucked because of it.
Yes.
And that's the whole reason the Bills kicked their ass. Not kicked their ass, but scored so many points. They kicked the defense's ass for sure. They could not put any pressure on Josh Allen, and if there's anybody in the league you need to put pressure on, it's him.
Definitely.
Because he will throw picks. He will.
Yeah.
But nobody tested him.
And it showed in that playoff game too. Jaden Daniels is another guy that you have to make uncomfortable. If he's able to comfortably move outside of the pocket, you're totally fucked.
Yeah.
You're totally fucked. So, yeah, Lions get an A- for me, but overall, one of my favorite teams to watch all season. And Jahmyr Gibbs, holy fuck, dude.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah. I mean, I had Lions making the I had the Lions winning the Super Bowl before the season started. So I was high on them. But
good shout.
Yeah. I had Lions Texans, which the Texans showed up in the playoffs, but kind of for not coming up against the Chiefs. All right. So that's gonna do it. Any closing thoughts on this division?
Now that I think about it, we didn't really talk about Amon-Ra and Jamison Williams at all.
No, we didn't. Amon-Ra was as great as advertised, I would say.
Yeah, and J-Mo was a great. I feel like Supporter kind of does him no justice, but like,
yeah,
he was awesome.
They could still use another wide receiver though, in my opinion.
I think either another wide receiver or Sam Laporta to play like he did his rookie year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They were missing that third good receiver that wasn't a running back.
Yeah, Tim Patrick. I mean, he did.
Shout out to Tim Patrick, but no, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think going into next year, I know the Vikings are obviously making a quarterback change, so things might, be a little weird. 100% certainty that going into next year with the Bears improvements and the coaching change, this is the best division in football next season.
I couldn't agree more. There's just talent everywhere. Yeah. Absolutely everywhere, especially if the Packers get a wide receiver 1. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
It'll be unreal. Okay, is that everything we've got for the NFC North?
I think so. What a division, man.
Yeah.
What a division.
And NFC Beast to clean things up next week. Final one before the draft night special. Then it's off to the offseason. All right, let's go ahead and get into the Premier League. Going through the Premier League schedule this weekend, it's not great. I'll be honest off the top. It's not a great schedule, but as we've been talking for the last couple of weeks, the race for these European spots is unbelievably tight. And we have a couple of matches this weekend that are big. So just to give everybody a little bit of an update on the European spots and how they stand, Liverpool and Arsenal pretty well locked in for Champions League spots at 1 and 2. Arsenal kind of messing around, but Nottingham Forest not playing too great either. Nottingham Forest at 57 points in third. Chelsea at 53 in fourth. Newcastle at 53 in fifth. Newcastle has a game in hand on the league outside of Crystal Palace, who they play makeup with on Wednesday. Manchester City in the final European spot with 52 points. That's sixth place. Villa just a point behind Man City. Fulham 4 points behind Man City. Brighton 5 points behind Man City. And then it starts to get a little bit less attainable there. But in the middle of the table, there's certainly a race for position as well. So a lot to look out for with these teams. We'll just start going down the list of the fixtures. We started off standalone game on Saturday morning, Man City versus Crystal Palace, which could get interesting. Crystal Palace on great form as of recent. Haven't lost a match since February 15th. They've got 4 wins and a draw since then. And that draw was with Southampton, which was not good at all. But coming off the win against Brighton this past weekend, Crystal Palace is one to watch. Manchester City kind of been on the same form they kind of have been for most of the year. Just a little bit shaky here and there. What are your thoughts with this match? I mean, it is kind of a big one considering City is trying to fend off at least a Conference League spot.
I don't know how to feel about it. I think a lot of what I've been hearing about Manchester City has been obviously Kevin De Bruyne related. He released a statement that I thought was weirdly timed. He released his statement leaving the club like last weekend.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very weird. It's not even the end of the season yet, but I guess he's already guaranteed to leave. So, that's one thing. But as far as this matchup goes, Crystal Palace definitely on the better form as compared to Manchester City here. I don't know how to feel about it. I definitely agree with you. I think it can get weird. As a Chelsea fan, just being 2 spots ahead of Manchester City and only a point ahead of them as well. Praying for at least a draw. So I think I'm going to go 1-1 draw for this one. Crystal Palace are looking really good.
Yeah, Crystal Palace looks great, and City, like you said, just in an odd spot with everything going on there. I like that 1-1 draw. I think I'm going to match you on that one.
Right.
Our next match, and we'll go for a quick pick here from the both of us. Brighton versus Leicester. Leicester's awful.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it last week. They lost again to Newcastle pretty poorly on Monday, 3-0. Great showing from Newcastle, by the way. But yeah, I mean, Leicester sucks right now. Brighton's not great, but they're no Leicester. What do you think score-wise?
I'm gonna go 2-0 Brighton. I don't think Leicester City gets 3-0 twice. So.
That's fair. I'm gonna go 1-0 Brighton. Brighton's sneakily just struggling to score multiple goals in games. We could probably go for another. You know what? We could discuss this one a little bit. Nottingham Forest and Everton. Everton is just so good at getting draws. I mean, this for some reason the last couple of weeks this defense has been great. I think we talked about it, but they've only allowed 38 goals. That's only been that's only being bested by 5 teams. Yeah.
They have more draws than wins and losses.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a lot of draws. 14. 14 draws for that team. Nottingham Forest, on the other hand, 17-6-8 with those 6 draws. It just seems like the defense has been declining. We talked about it last week. I don't want to go back on that kind of rabbit hole, but Nottingham Forest coming off the loss to Aston Villa. Things are definitely weird, but not like lose to Everton weird, but maybe draw to Everton weird.
Yeah, which I like it. I'm going to take just a solid 1-1 draw out of these teams.
I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw.
I like it.
I think these teams are kind of struggling a little bit right now. Next one, Southampton Villa. Give me a quick one on this one.
Villa 1-0.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to go Villa 3-0. Southampton sucks. Arsenal Brentford. We could definitely talk about this one a little bit. Brentford, once again, kind of up and down form. It's kind of all over the place. Arsenal is just, they're weird. I mean, they just drew Everton last week, but they also beat Fulham and Chelsea in their 2 matches before that. They are so odd, but they do need wins. I mean, Nottingham Forest could catch them.
Yeah, I could see it going differently than this way, but I think Brentford gets at least 1, but Arsenal, I think, are going to score 2, so I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal.
I'm going to go Arsenal 3-1. I think we'll see some goals out of them here. Then we move on to Sunday's matches, Chelsea and Ipswich. What are you thinking there?
We have them at Stamford Bridge, but then again, Chelsea have been kind of a little bit shaky, so I'm going to go 1-0, 2-0, somewhere in there. I'm going to stick with 2-0, 2-0.
Yeah, I'll match you on that one. Liverpool and West Ham. This one is also kind of odd. Liverpool is just since they flopped out of the Champions League, been a problem. I mean, you lose in the Champions League, you lose the Carabao Cup final. They lost to Fulham last weekend.
Yeah.
It's very odd with this team right now. But at the same time, West Ham, I mean, they just can't find the results they're looking for whatsoever.
No, I think I'm going to go 3-1 Liverpool here.
Okay. I'm going to go 2-0 Liverpool. And then we've got Wolves and Spurs. Kind of 2 middle-ish. I mean, Wolves is low, but close on points. I mean, they're only 5 points behind Tottenham. Wolves on good-ass form right now. 3 straight wins.
They are.
The worst teams in the league.
I think I'm going to take Wolves 2-1.
Okay. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between the 2 of these. Tottenham, once again, just not finding the results they're looking for right now. I guess all season. And then you got Newcastle, Manchester United standalone on Sunday, 11:30. I just need Newcastle to win. I just need the 3 points. I don't care how we get it. I'd like it to look good. We just got to be ready for Crystal Palace midweek. That's all I care about. We're the only midweek match. It's a makeup. We've got the game in hand. don't fuck around here. Just beat Manchester United. I know you can.
Yeah, I mean, for Manchester United, not only are you playing a team that's in 5th place, you're playing a team that's on 5th place in very good form. I think Manchester United are totally fucked here, but like, you can't deny that even as a Newcastle fan going into this game, it's still that Manchester United aura, which is so weird. You gotta think about
it. It doesn't help that like
they
beat us in that FA Cup final 2 years ago. Like it's just like these little things. About Manchester United where you're like, okay, just because they're playing bad doesn't mean you can write them off every week.
Yep. I'm going to go. I definitely think Newcastle scores more than just one goal in this game. 3-1 over United.
Okay. I'm going to take Newcastle 2-0. Just Manchester United is just not scoring goals right now. I'm so distracted right now. Sahith Theegala is putting for birdie on 17 to make it even. I need him to make this. I haven't been talking about it, but I have had a parlay going. Come on, get there, push. Yes. Sorry. All right.
Oh yeah.
Let's go. That was big. On Monday, final match of the week: Bournemouth and Fulham. Actually close in the table right now. Bournemouth 45 points right now, 3 points behind Fulham. Fulham in 8th. They're looking to make a run at Manchester City for that for that Conference League spot. Coming off that big win over Liverpool, close loss over against Arsenal, got the win over Tottenham, the loss to Brighton. It's kind of been back and forth a little bit, but that's much better than what Bournemouth's been doing recently. Bournemouth was as high as 5th place a couple weeks ago and have totally plummeted.
Yeah. I'm going to take Fulham 1-0 for that reason. Bournemouth just do not look good. The roster's there. I mean, like you said, they were good. They were in 5th place about a couple weeks ago, but they can't get it figured out. And it seems like Fulham, 3 wins, 2 losses in their last 5. But I think that they're good enough to capitalize on Bournemouth's current form right now.
Yeah. I would probably I'll go Fulham 2-0. All right. Well, that wraps up. And then we have Newcastle and Crystal Palace midweek on Wednesday, but obviously those two teams play another game before that. Any thoughts on that one?
You said Newcastle and who? Fulham?
Crystal Palace. Newcastle and Crystal Palace. Sorry.
Palace.
On Wednesday.
Yeah, I bet Newcastle probably gets the best of them.
I think it's close, but it's at St. James Park as well, so I know we're really good at home this year, so that's another thing.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 Newcastle.
Okay.
Against Crystal Palace. Yeah.
I'm going to not make a prediction. I'm deferring.
Okay.
That's all I'll say right now. All right. I think that does it for the Premier League. Let's head over to the Champions League quarterfinals. We had some absolute madness in the Champions League this weekend. It starts off with Tuesday's matches, and I mean, where else to start? But Arsenal 3, Real Madrid 0. Absolutely.
Don't we look like dickheads?
Unbelievable. Yes, we look like the biggest idiots of all time. But at the same time, I mean, we're both sitting here being like, but what happens when they get to Madrid? What happens at the Bernabeu?
I'm literally sitting in a Dunkin' bathroom, like tweaking over this score and like watching Declan Rice's free kicks, and I'm still texting Grayson. I think this sets up for a beautiful night in Madrid.
Yes, exactly. That's what it feels like.
It just doesn't seem right.
No. Yeah. I mean, Declan Rice having a legacy game in the first leg against Real Madrid in the quarterfinals. It's unbelievable.
Oh my God.
What a free kick, by the way, from Declan Rice. Holy shit.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, both.
That's like an incredible thing to do.
Yes, absolutely unreal. And we had talked about this before the match, but they had a number of Real Madrid did have a number of guys that were close to getting red cards or yellow card accumulation suspensions.
Yes.
I think they avoided that. Camavinga got a red in the 90th, and he was one of the guys that was on the verge.
Yeah, and
I don't.
As a manager, you just
suspensions.
Yeah, you just never want to see, like, in a game that's already over, don't touch other players. Like, just don't get a red card in the 90th minute of a game you're 3-0 down or 3-0 up, for that matter.
Yeah, and
just
it was a second yellow as well.
Yeah, it's even more of a reason. You've already been warned.
Yeah, and also what's crazy, and I guess maybe for Kamavinga's case in this scenario, he was one of the guys that was on the brink of getting a yellow card suspension. He got the yellow in the 69th minute. I wonder if he was thinking, I mean, 90th minute comes around, I'm already going to miss leg 2.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the thought, but I mean, it's crazy.
I'm going to show these guys what it means to win 3-0 against Real Madrid.
Yeah, he gets that yellow in the 69th. I don't know if it was exactly that foul that set it up, but Declan Rice scored in the 70th. I didn't get to watch this game, so I don't know if that foul is what set up the free kick, but I mean, what a game from Declan Rice. Unbelievable.
Yeah, what a game from Arsenal. I mean, to clean sheet Real Madrid here as well. That's huge. Absolutely huge. And then going into Madrid, you just got to hang on to the grass.
Yeah, I mean,
everybody.
We might as well go ahead and preview leg 2. Real Madrid's got to bring something. They do.
It's kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs. You feel that dark magic with Real Madrid in the Champions League, don't you? Like, I mean, you just have to. I don't know.
We'll see what happens in leg 2. I think Real Madrid gets close. I think Real Madrid wins leg 2-0, but they don't get it done.
Yeah, I personally, I think we're going to see a remontada from Real Madrid. I think they're going to win 4-0.
Wow.
I'm going for it, bro.
Unbelievable.
I'm going for it.
That would be unbelievable. Yeah. But hey, it's recorded. I mean, the people will know if you were right. All right, the next match, Bayern Munich 1, Inter Milan 2. Big result for Inter to score 2 goals in general, let alone get the win over Bayern Munich in Munich is huge. Absolutely huge.
It's absolutely incredible. And this is kind of what teams that play really good defense can do. Inter Milan have only conceded like 3 goals in the Champions League, by the way, because they play with like 25 players. But it's Bayern Munich's last 23 matches in the Champions League at the Allianz Arena. This is the first time they've lost. 22 wins.
Yeah,
either a win or a draw.
And we talked in the previews about how beat up this Bayern Munich defense is, and if Inter Milan just attacks it, they will get it done. Lautaro Martinez in the 38th. Fratesi scores the winner in the 88th.
Yeah. And now Bayern Munich have to go to a temple of the sport in the San Siro and try to make a comeback. It's going to be brutal. I know it's only one goal down, but when you're talking about 1 goal down versus Inter Milan, you're in a super dangerous position. Dangerous position.
That's a huge spot.
I think kind of the sentiment that I have for this matchup in general is if Bayern didn't win at home, which they didn't, they're in trouble. They're in serious trouble here.
Oh yeah, definitely. This Bayern defense, this back 4, Stanisic at left back, Kim, Eric Dyer, and Lamer. That's not the defense that Bayern Munich should be throwing out there in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. But that's just what they've been forced into due to injury. And it is unbelievably unfortunate. Because, like, the attacking side is great, but you can't get things done with that kind of back line right now. Sorry, it looks like Sahith Thegal is kind of falling apart here on 18. So that is not good. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll reserve my emotions. Man. It's not over till it's over. Absolutely love this Inter Milan setup, and I'm sure they will go back to this setup in leg 2. What's the predictions for leg 2 here?
Sorry, just kind of had a conniption right there. Inter Milan would be comfortable with Bayern Munich possessing the entire.
I think we might have just lost you for a second, internet-wise. I don't know what you might have just said.
Am I back?
I can hear you. Your camera. Okay, yeah, I think you're good now.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm not too sure what that was. I think Inter Milan would be comfortable to just not touch the ball one time at the San Siro. I think it'll be a 0-0 draw, and Inter goes through.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the way that they'll approach it. We'll see if Bayern Munich's attack, which is phenomenal, can they step up and just get it done? That's the biggest thing. I think they can. I think Bayern Munich could fight back. I mean, it's just a 1-goal deficit, and they are a very talented squad. So I say Bayern Munich fights back. They tie it up. They go to extra. They go to penalties, and Bayern wins it on pens.
Okay, so we're both predicting comebacks. I like it. I like it.
Okay, on to the other matches from Wednesday. These were also fantastic, especially if you're rooting for the favorites, I guess. PSG gets it done 3-1 over Aston Villa. Very much saw this one coming. I think one of us might have predicted the score. I don't remember, but it seems like a score line we could have predicted.
Well, what was crazy is PSG found themselves down 1-0 in this game. And then Doué, this 19-year-old man.
Unbelievable.
Oh, my God, dude. Just an absolute worldie to equalize the game.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Kvaratskhelia gets in the score sheet as well in the 49th, make it 2-1, take the lead. And then Nuno Mendes, whatever you want to call him, 90th plus 2, makes it 3-1, which is huge heading to leg 2.
This is just a typical PSG game, but I just want to read these stats off to you. So PSG, 29 shots to Villa's 7, 10 shots on target to Villa's 2, 76% possession to Villa's 24. This is insane stat, by the way. I don't think I've ever seen a deficit like this. PSG passed the ball 841 times to Villa's 271, but wait,
holy shit.
Pass accuracy. So PSG obviously passed the ball a shit ton more than Aston Villa did. 94% pass accuracy from PSG to Villa's 75.
Oh my God. That's manhandling.
Yeah.
That's bad. You should not
and another
do
telling another telling stat that we have here is PSG had 9 corners, Aston Villa had 1.
Unreal. Looking ahead to leg 2, I think PSG maybe even holds them scoreless in leg 2. I'm going to say 2-0.
I think 2-0 is perfect.
Yeah, make it 5-1 on aggregate and head off into the sunset. Barcelona and Dortmund, maybe all but settled, but wouldn't be the first time Barcelona blows a lead in the Champions League knockout stage. 4-0 over Dortmund in leg 1. Rafinha obviously getting in the score sheet. Lewandowski obviously scoring a brace, as the two of them do in these games. And Lamine Yamal scores a goal. We've been talking about how he's been scoreless for a while, but he scores. Just absolute Hansi Flick managed win as it gets.
This front 3 is just stupid.
World class.
I mean, they're just insane. Yeah.
And what's insane is you, on paper, you put this up against what Real Madrid has, and you're like, psh. Because Real Madrid could trot out Vinicius Jr., Mbappe, and Rodrigo as the front 3, and you'd obviously, in everybody's mind, go, oh, they're wiping the floor with them. No. Rafinha, who was like a decent player at best, at Leeds, pretty good, got to move to Barcelona, surprisingly. Huge chip by Sahith Thagala to set up a power putt, by the way. And then Lewandowski's what, 50? I mean, and Lamine Yamal's what, 10? Like, it's unbelievable how good this front 3 is. It's truly unreal.
And not only just in their individual right, but they complement each other so well.
Yeah.
So well.
And like, when you look at the support behind them, this midfield was so weird for this team. Fermin Lopez starts at center attacking mid with Pedri and Frankie de Jong, who was the captain in this game. This guy can't even make the squad, and he's the captain in a Champions League quarterfinal? It's insane.
Yeah. I do want to mention that Rafinha's goal should have been Kubarsi's.
Yes.
In fact, Rafinha almost fucked it because they had to VAR for Rafinha's touch on the goal. It's a different reason than Inter Milan, but like, if you're Dortmund, how do you climb back against Barcelona, who are just going to score like 2 more goals against the yellow wall in Dortmund?
Yeah, at least.
Like, they don't have to park the bus. They just have to score more goals.
Yeah. I think for leg 2,
yeah.
like score-wise, I think Barcelona comes back with another 4. I think it's like 4-2.
Really? I think I'm going to go 2-0 again. I think the aggregate's going to be 6-0 here.
Okay. I think Dortmund can score
Yeah.
some goals. I mean, they've been capable of it to this point. Just not in this one.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps things up for the quarterfinals. Do we want to hop straight into questions time?
Yeah. We'll
okay. Okay. Well, then that is exactly what time it is. Right here on this watch. You see it. Plain Jane today. But yeah.
Yeah.
It's back to questions time, and they're back to normal. I'm going to pause for 1 second because I'm about to talk about the Masters. So Hithagala is lining up his par putt on 18. So let's see if I'm going to win myself a little bit of money today. Come on. Sahith. Bang. Bang. That's how you start off Masters weekend. Big ol' 5X win. A good 5X winner on Masters Thursday. That's the way to go. I didn't even talk about this part because we're getting to the Masters part. My favorite thing about the Masters is that I can go to the store and I go to the liquor store, I buy a bottle of vodka, I buy a thing of grenadine, I buy a thing of lemonade, and I make azaleas and I drink them bitches for 4 fucking days. I had 2 before we recorded the podcast. I'm going to be celebrating with some more responsibly after this. That's a great way to start off the weekend. A cool little $50 to throw in the pocket to go into the weekend. That's all. Put down 10.
Yeah.
Got my 50, and I'm just gonna love it. I'm gonna love my way through the rest of Masters weekend. That's how it is. I do feel bad.
I do want to remind.
Yes, gamble responsibly, please.
Yeah. I was gonna say we are recording this on a Thursday, so Grayson will be celebrating on a Thursday night. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of the Masters, and also the beauty of my job, where my weekend is essentially Thursday and Friday. So I do have that as well. But let's talk a little bit of Masters, because the first question is who's going to win the Masters. Right now, Justin Rose, 7 under, 3-stroke lead on the field. Kind of got shaky there at the end. I think he had 8 under at one point. Got shaky there at the end. 7 under, 3-stroke lead on the field after Thursday. Obviously, a lot can happen. The greens were super firm today. I think we're going to get some rain to come through Augusta tonight. So not going to have those crazy bounces nearly as bad. But if we don't get this rain that is questionable if it's even going to come through, if Augusta doesn't get that rain, those greens are going to be even more firm and even more bouncy, and it's going to get worse as the week goes on because we had all that rain on Monday, super wet. As it firms up throughout the weekend, it gets harder and harder to play, so things will get wilder and wilder as the weekend goes on at the Masters, and scores can just go nuts. So tomorrow will obviously be a big prove-it day at the Masters, but it's hard to pick against Scotty. Scotty Scheffler just wins. He's at 4 under, so he's tied for second place with Ludwig Oberg, who I really like. I think he's probably my pick. And Connors, the Canadian. Tyrrell Hatton had a great start. Bryson DeChambeau looks pretty sharp. If I had to pick a guy, I don't want to go with Scheffler. I'm going with Ludwig Oberg, the Swedish guy. Love him. I love Ludwig Oberg so much. He's one of the guys that was part of this parlay. I like him a lot. I've liked him for these last 2 seasons. I would love to sit here and believe in Sahith. That showing today was not fantastic, I'll say, but getting to even it's a good way to end your day. I mean, he's still top 40. He's going to make the cut as it stands. I don't know what the projected cut at is, or the cut is at right now, but yeah, I think I'm feeling pretty good with Oberg. He was definitely my pick before things got rolling, and still certainly in the conversation. If I had to go for a sleeper, maybe I mean, there's a lot of guys to choose from. Maybe Bhatia, Akshay Bhatia as well. Wouldn't be a bad shout. He's been a little shaky, very volatile in these rounds, but if he reels things in, Sorry if anybody had to hear the audio from the Masters website. If he reels things in, I could see him winning it all. But shout out to Fred Couples as well. Freddie Couples, 65 years old, shooting a cool 1 under on round 1. Love to see that from Fred Couples. And I love that he uses a yellow ball. It's such an old man move. It's like the only guy on tour using a yellow ball. But shout out to Fred Couples.
So you can see it.
Oh, yeah. And that's probably the biggest part of it. But, I mean, he plays such the old man style of golf. And, like he's just, like, pulling out, like, a 3-wood on the fairway, like 100 yards out to, like, bump and run something up the front half, the front side of the green. It's unbelievable. Bit of a collapse from Colin Morikawa as well was something that I noticed. He was one of the featured groups, so I got to see a lot of his round. But on that second 9, 3 bogeys in the last 4 holes following an eagle on 13 is just not how you want to see your Friday end for Morikawa, who would have been tied for 3rd place if he had just parred those. So he certainly would have been in a much better spot. But yeah, the Masters has been so much fun to watch. It always is. I mean, it's a tradition like no other, as Jim Nantz says. Absolutely love the Masters so much. I know you don't have much to say.
I'm glad that you're happy.
Yeah. We do have another golf/Masters related question
fuck
here.
Off, Nathan.
No, but it's a fun one. Do you think if you had had to do so, do you think if all you had to do was putt from 10 feet from the hole, could you win the Masters?
Yes.
Okay, so par is 72 at the Masters. Obviously, there's 18 holes. Mm-hmm. These are the hardest greens to play in probably the whole tour, if you ask most guys. 10 feet. Yeah. I mean, if you overhit something, some of these greens, unbelievable undulations. If you're in the wrong spot 10 feet from the hole, you might be taking a 5 if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent 45 years in the NPPL, the National Putt-Putt League, so I think I got this one.
I think I could too. I'm actually not a bad putter. That's like the one thing I can do. I might not make it, but I'll get it. Once I'm on the green, I feel pretty confident where I'm going. And 10 feet, I think is manageable for me.
Yeah.
If you add on the pressure, hell no. If I got to play this alone, nobody watching, I could do it. If I'm out there in a group with Bryson DeChambeau and Colin Morikawa breathing down my neck, I mean, I'm fucked. And all the patrons watching, that's not happening. But if I get to go out there alone, no patrons, no players with me, and just knock it out, I'm doing it. I got that.
I respect it, yeah.
And I'll get a pimento cheese sandwich at the turn. All right. I love this question. What's more iconic, Lambeau Field or Wrigley Field?
Oh.
I love this question.
It's got to be Wrigley, right? Because it has physical features like the moss on the wall or the ivy or whatever the fuck it is that, make it pretty iconic. I don't really think
Lambeau's location, being in the neighborhood, is certainly a big part of it. But I think it's that Lambeau Field has hosted so many iconic games. And it's always been a great team as well. It's a franchise that has won for a long time. I mean, they were the first to win. I think that's what gives Lambeau Field its allure, is the team that goes on the field. Wrigley, just in general, is just it's a landmark. And I mean, Lambeau is as well. But looking around Wrigley and how it is presented on TV, and I guess to Wrigley's credit, Wrigleyville and that whole neighborhood around the stadium is such a big part of it, and I think that aids to its kind of icon status. But also, I think it's tough with baseball. I can't think of a lot of iconic games at Wrigley Field. Because for 140 years or whatever the fuck that streak was, they didn't win a World Series. They were not a great franchise for a long time.
Yeah.
So that, I think, throws things off. So I think when you're talking about the product that's put on the field, Lambeau Field's more iconic. But if there's a stadium I'd want to go to, it's got to be Wrigley out of the two.
Yeah, I think I'm just going Wrigley because of my bias that I've actually been there. Dude, I went nonverbal in Wrigley. Shout out to Race if you're listening. We remember that night. Well, you probably
I hope you
do.
are, Race. That golf section was for you.
Yeah, but for my 21st, we took a trip up to Chicago. I probably talked about this on the podcast before, but Wrigleyville was super cool. It's kind of like the Battery, but much older, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, the bars in Wrigleyville, awesome. That town, awesome. And the stadium is just a sight to see. It's really cool.
Yeah. All right, next one. And I'm so glad he asked this question because, I mean, I could literally spend forever talking about this. What's the best movie you've watched in the last 2 months? I already know my answer 100%.
Go ahead.
The Prestige. Christopher Nolan movie from 2006. Unbelievable storytelling. I don't want to spoil a second of it. I urge everybody out there to go watch it. I 100% urge everybody. I mean, Christopher Nolan, if his name's on a movie, you should probably go watch it.
Oh, dude.
But unbelievable stuff in The Prestige. It has somehow become my favorite of his movies, which is incredible.
The Christian Bale Batman trilogy. Unbelievable.
So
unbelievable.
Good.
Like they're just really cool little director stuff. Like there was this one scene where Batman plants a bomb. And it'll obviously show the timer counting down. I'm pretty sure the timer was accurate to when it actually went off in the movie as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's those attentions.
That's just cool.
And also, he won't use CGI. Yeah.
Nope.
He is, right now, they're shooting The Odyssey, and he is the director.
Oh.
And Matt Damon is Odysseus. That movie is going to be so good. It is going to be so fucking good. The cast that's already been put out there is unbelievable. I'm going to go in my letterbox real quick and look through my most recent stuff. Oh, Tombstone. I watched that for the first time because Val Kilmer passed away. I watched Tombstone for the first time. Incredible. Incredible movie. I like Westerns, but I'm not like a huge Western guy. It's incredible. And I think it helps that I already absolutely love the Johnny Cash song about Tombstone, Arizona, the Ballad of Boot Hill. That song's already amazing. And so I already kind of had heard of the story and I've looked into the story. That movie, though, Tombstone's so good. Val Kilmer is so good in it. So I liked, that was also another one. That's probably second. Let's see, what else? I watched Anora. Anora was good. It wasn't great. Won Best Picture at the Oscars. But I thought it was fine. I was kind of surprised when I watched it that it was the Best Picture winner based off of previous Best Picture winners. Other movies I've watched in the last 2 months. I thought Nomadland was really good as well. That one was awesome. Directed by Chloe Zhao, who's like a fantastic director. But Nomadland was a fun watch as well. All right, I'll leave the floor to you now. I love movies so much.
Yeah, and I'm again left out of this one. I'm not a big movie guy. The last movie that I remember watching was about a month ago, and I watched Smile 1 and Smile 2 in the same night. Really good scary movies. It's very. Sometimes scary movies are so cheesy that they're not scary, but Smile 1 definitely like creeped me out. Nice. I thought. And obviously, you know, their marketing at the MLB ballparks is like fantastic.
Yeah.
Like they'll get people to sit behind home plate just doing the smile. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, Smile, if any of y'all haven't seen it, Smile for sure was a good one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a horror movie guy. I think we've talked about this before. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I watch so many movies just by myself that it's like, why would I sit by myself and watch a horror movie?
Yeah.
I think it's something where like you need the crowd. You need other people.
Yeah. I also watched that new Stephen King movie about the monkey. I think it was just called The Monkey.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, it was a Stephen King book
Yeah.
turned into a movie. It was all right. You could definitely tell that it was a book that had been turned
Mm.
into a movie, which I think kind of made it very um pleasingly awkward in a way, like almost in the way that like Knives Out and Glass Onion were. Like they're very
Oh,
good
okay.
movies, but like all the characters are super awkward in how they interact with each other.
Hmm.
If that makes sense, like none
Yeah,
of the
that
characters
makes
act
sense.
like normal people.
Yeah.
So it was entertaining, but I mean nothing kind of like what you had, where you had movies that genuinely like jumped out at you. I really haven't
Okay.
had that experience recently.
All right, next one. If you became a pro athlete in your preferred sport, who would you want to be your main sponsor?
Wow, damn, that's a good one. I mean, do you have one in mind?
I'm trying to think because my thing is, does it need to be like that sport related? Like if I chose baseball, does it have to be like an equipment manufacturer? Could it just be anything?
Yeah, and I was thinking of it in a different light. Like, what is it? What do I want on my jersey? Like, if I'm a soccer player, what do I want that jersey to look
Mm.
like, or what do I just want my sponsor to be? Like, who? Like, who's gonna give me
Yeah,
free
it's a
stuff?
little bit different in soccer because I guess like you don't really have gear other than your cleats that would be like a brand you're working with.
Exactly.
Because like in
Um,
baseball, I mean, my bat sponsor, my glove sponsor, whatever, would be on my person.
yeah. I think as far as jersey, it's hard to get like it's hard to not love like the Barcelona like Rolling Stone
Mm,
jersey. Like that's
yeah.
just really cool. Shit, I don't know if I'm an athlete and I want free stuff. You know what? If I'm a soccer player, I'll go with one of the designer brands. Give me like Louis Vuitton.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I'll take free
Um,
stuff from them.
yeah, oh man, I don't know. Okay, if it has to be like the equipment thing, because obviously I'm choosing baseball. Um, man, I feel like there's something so like iconic about Louisville Slugger being your bat sponsor. Just because
Okay.
they like for so long they were the official bat of Major League Baseball. I feel like that definitely seems like a good one. And then like gloves, I would totally go Nakona. I love my Nakona glove that I have right now.
I've never even
The
heard
quality
of
of their
that
stuff,
brand before.
so amazing. Shout out to Nakona. They're actually like the manufacturer for a long time. And they were like when like Wilson and Rawlings started moving a lot of their production to Asia, they stayed like Nakona stayed in America. And they're still made in America.
That's very cool. I
Yeah.
think if I was going to go equipment as a soccer player, I always wore Adidas when I played. So definitely Adidas cleats for sure.
Yeah, I'd probably be a Nike cleats guy for baseball. I've always liked
Yeah.
Nike silhouettes for cleats. But if it was just like a general sponsorship, like you said, like Louis Vuitton, I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't know.
Another realm I was thinking in would have been like Gatorade, like something to do with
Yeah,
like hydration drinking,
I
or
think it
like
is
just a
cool.
food.
Yeah, like I love body armor. Body armor would be a sick one.
Body armor crossed my mind too. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool. Like to be like the cover athlete of a brand is cool.
Yes.
Like that's really cool. Cause like I know this is such an odd thing, but like Ronald Acuna being the face of Nike underwear is crazy. Like
Pretty
that's just
sick
like
though.
an odd, yeah. But it's like it's an odd pick, and it's like kind of a weird thing to be the face of, but at the same time, like that's cool as hell.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Going back to body armor, didn't Kobe Bryant have a lot to do with the creation of
I
body
think
armor?
so. Yes, I think so. I think
Shout out Kobe.
odd kind of parallel thing. I think 50 Cent had a lot to do with vitamin water, if I'm
This sounds
remembering
so
correctly.
familiar.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do think Kobe had a lot to do with body armor. But when I think of body armor, I think of Joe Burrow because he's in the commercials for it. Um, Obviously Gatorade's like the more iconic one for sure. But I think if you're like a Gatorade athlete, like, I mean, even if I was a professional baseball player, I would not be like cooler than the other Gatorade athletes. I would not be the
This
number
is
one guy.
50 Cent's involvement with Vitamin Water involved a partnership that led to a significant payday for the rapper
Nice.
with Glacial's parent company, Vitamin Water, selling to Coca-Cola in 2007, resulting in a reported $100 million for 50 Cent.
Hell yeah. Shout out Fifth.
Yeah.
All right. Final question. Who is your favorite Marvel character?
Ooh. That's a good one.
I don't really have one off the top of my head. I am a Marvel fan, but not like I have to watch every movie and like I really care about it. I used to be, I think, but now I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I have a different
Before
taste
the
for movies.
Yeah, before the holidays, I had told you that I had recently watched all the Avengers in order.
Yeah.
I think I would have to go with Doctor Strange only because I think his power is just very cool.
Yeah.
I think honestly he's probably the most overpowered superhero in that realm.
I like that.
Yeah, and also Benedict Cumberbatch,
Phenomenal.
phenomenal actor. Duh.
Phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I don't want to give some lame ass answer, but like Iron Man's sick. And like Tony Stark is such an interesting character.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. did a good job.
Yeah. I could go off the beaten path here and just say Wolverine. I think that's kind of an odd one that people wouldn't go because like it's not real, like X-Men isn't really in like the MCU type thing. But I love like all the Wolverine movies are great. I like him in the X-Men movies as well. Like Hugh Jackman, fantastic as Wolverine.
Yeah, if we're gonna stick to X-Men, I always really liked Nightcrawler. I thought he was really cool. I remember, I liked him a lot when I was younger. He's what, like a Spanish or French priest?
I think that's the
somehow
lore.
Got that ability. Yeah, I think that's really cool.
It is. I do love like the ones that have the cool ass backstories. Like, that's always interesting to me.
Yes.
But I also I never read comics or anything, so it's just kind of off of like if I heard about it or not.
Yeah. I do want to preface though. Well, I guess I can't really preface because I already gave my take, but I do want to mention that I am like Batman by far my favorite superhero. Love the Arkham games, love the movies. So, yeah, Batman,
I don't think
for sure.
I don't know if I have like a favorite superhero. I mean, I guess I talked about Iron Man, but like it's not like I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like amped about the next development with that. It's just like I find it cool. Yeah, I don't think I necessarily have like a specific one that I like root for or like I want to see a new movie for. It's just not really my taste.
I can give a really deep take here. My favorite super villain by far, Mr. Freeze.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, super good anti-villain. Or anti-hero, whatever they call like the villains that have like a what would you call it? Like a valid reason to be a villain, I guess.
I don't know because it's not an anti-hero. Like Deadpool is an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Also, this is a good full circle moment here with movies because you just brought up Mr. Freeze, and I'm pretty sure Val Kilmer played Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin.
Sure did.
It was a good little full circle thing there. Rest in peace to Val Kilmer too. We never really talked about that. I think that was like last week's news, but
yeah,
what a fantastic actor. Okay, well that was the last question for questions time, so I think that's gonna wrap things up here.
Wow, what an episode!
Yeah, incredible episode. Had a lot of fun all the way throughout this one. Love getting to talk golf. Love that I won a bet in the middle of the episode. That doesn't happen ever. Just me winning, whether it's in the episode or not, it never happens. But But yeah, I mean that was a blast. So we've got the mock draft that you need to go check out. Once you're done here, go back to the mock draft on YouTube. It came out on Wednesday. Check that out. Go ahead and share it. Share it with somebody who you think will hate it. Go ahead and comment your Masters prediction as well on this video. And leave a like here on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Turn on post notifications. Got the draft night special coming up April 24th. Mark the calendars. It is 14 days from literally right now as I am speaking. We will be going live 3 minutes from now in 14 days. Of course, check that stuff out. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Stay up to date with what we've got going on there. Luke, anything for the people before we lead them into their weekend?
I don't know. I just hope everybody has a good weekend watching the Masters. I will not be indulging, but I know a lot of people do. So, shout out to the Masters and shout out to all you guys that like it. So.
Yeah. I'm very much looking forward to this weekend with the golf and the baseball. So there's a lot to pay attention to and a lot for you guys to look forward to. So I will be back on Monday, and Luke will be back here with me next Friday. We're getting close. Draft night's coming up. Stay tuned. We will catch you guys later. Peace.